Hello, I have finished reading Love and Other Consolation Prizes by Jamie Ford. And I thought that I would tell you about it because I enjoyed it very much. So I'll tell you what the blurb says and then I'll tell you my thoughts. From the best-selling author of Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet comes a powerful novel inspired by a true story about a boy whose life is transformed at the Seattle's epic 1909 World's Fair. For 12-year-old Ernest Young, a charity student at a boarding school, the chance to go to the World's Fair feels like a gift. But only once he's there, amid the exotic exhibits, fireworks, and Ferris wheels, does he discover that he is the one who is actually the prize. The half-Chinese orphan is astounded to learn that he will be raffled off, a healthy boy, to a good home. The winning ticket belongs to the flamboyant madam of a high-class brothel, famous for educating her girls. There, Ernest becomes the new houseboy and befriends Maisie, the madam's precocious daughter, and a bold scullery maid named Fawn. Their friendship and affection form the first real family Ernest has ever known, and against all odds, this new sporting life gives him the sense of home he's always desired. 50 years later, in the shadow of Seattle's second World's Fair, Ernest struggles to help his ailing wife reconcile who she once was with who she wanted to be, while trying to keep family secrets hidden from their grown-up daughters. Against a rich backdrop of post-Victorian vice, suffrage, and celebration, Love and Other Consolation Prizes is an enchanting tale about innocence and devotion in a world where everything and everyone is for sale. So we meet Ernest. Our introduction to him is as a small child in China, and his mother is starving. And she takes him to a cemetery to bury his 2-day-old sister. And when she is finished with that, she gives him a hairpin and tells him to wait there, that his uncle is going to come and take him to take care of him. Then he gets on a boat to America and he meets Fawn, interestingly. He doesn't realize at the time that they'll be reunited later, but he is bullied by some bigger boys in the area that they're staying. And some little girls about his age across the room offer to take him in. So for the 3.5-4 weeks of the voyage, he becomes their little brother and they become his big sister. So that's his first real experience, I guess I should say, with what family means, because they took care of one another on the boat. So he is then in America, and he's a ward of the state, and he goes from place to place, school to school. And then at the age of 12, his sponsor to the boarding school submits him as a raffle, literally a child as a raffle at the 1909 World's Fair. And we come to find out that Madame Flora has been collecting the raffle tickets from her customers. Like, she was taking them in lieu of cash payment because she wanted to win the healthy boy to a good home. And she does. And she takes him home. And he becomes a houseboy. And his first interaction with Fawn is sight unseen. They're talking through a heating vent, and it's all very innocent. He is cleaning and polishing and running errands, and Fawn is a kitchen maid. Maisie is Madame Flora's daughter, and she is very precocious. She's very much a tomboy. At the beginning, she does not like Ernest very much. I'm not quite sure why. But her mother, Flora, seems to have a penchant for taking in, I guess, strays, for lack of a better word. That's a terrible way to talk about a person, but her girls, her upstairs girls, the ones who do the working girls, they have lessons every day. She's trying to turn them into ladies, and they are very well paid. They have a zest for living, and Ernest comes to find that he very much likes being at the Tenderloin, which is what the brothel is called. His sponsor from the boarding school, he runs into her several times. She is with a suffragette movement. She's also very against the vices of the red light district, so he sees her at marches and protests, and she always wants him to come home, that she'll, pay for him again to go to the boarding school. And he turns her down because he has found a family and a different way to live. And so, time goes on, the three youngsters, Ernest, Fawn, and Maisie, are kind of growing up together, and they do develop a relationship, and Ernest falls in love with both of them. I think he loves them for different reasons, though. Fawn is, we believe, half Japanese, and so they have the relationship of having to flee their home countries. They discover that they were on the same boat, and Maisie is stuck in this world where she can't be publicly called Madame Flora's daughter. She's always referred to as her sister. Madame Flora at this point is suffering the effects of syphilis that she contracted years earlier. And there's a lot of taking care of her and trying to keep that secret from the public, from the customers. We see a very elaborate coming out party for a young woman turning 16, where her virginity is auctioned off. And at this point, Fawn has decided that she wants to go from the kitchen to become an upstairs girl. She's very pretty. She wants to be educated. She wants kind of more of the world, as opposed to being safe in the kitchen. And Ernest struggles with this very much. And when Madame Flora's illness gets to the point that they need to seek treatment for her overseas, Madame announces that they're having another coming out party and another auction, and Fawn becomes very excited. She thinks that the coming out party and the raffle is for her. However, Madame Flora has decided to auction off her daughter because she's already received an offer of $5,000 for Maisie. And Maisie, of course, is very upset by this. Ernest is very upset by this because Ernest doesn't want Maisie to do it, and Maisie doesn't really want to do it. Fawn is upset because she wanted to be the one auctioned off. She wanted to be, she wanted to move up the ladder, so to speak. So Fawn gets very angry and she runs away to a seedy brothel where she's treated quite poorly. She's used very hard. She's injected with drugs. And a few weeks later, the brothel where she's working burns down. And Ernest is on his way back from taking Maisie to the home of the person who has bought her first night. And he finds Fawn naked in the street with the brothel burning down behind her. So he gathers her up and takes her back to the Tenderloin, and they nurse her back to health. And you see, Maisie never comes back, by the way. But you see Fawn and Ernest getting closer as he nurses her back to health. In the meantime, this whole story is flipping to the future, to the 1960s, when the second Seattle World's Fair is about to happen. And Ernest's daughter is a reporter, and she wants to do a story about people who had attended the very first World's Fair. Seattle's first World Fair, excuse me. And she knows that her father had, so she wants to write a story about her father. And Ernest has to decide how much to tell her about it. He'd like to leave his wife out of it. His wife is suffering from almost a kind of dementia or Alzheimer's that is brought on by infection, which we assume she contracted syphilis during the very brief time that she was working in a brothel. So at this point, she's struggling very hard, but as the World's Fair gets closer and she sees advertisements for it and news stories about the old fair, her memories start to come back and she becomes more and more lucid, which puts Ernest in a predicament because she at this point doesn't really have a filter, so he's not sure that she's going to tell her two daughters that she was indeed a prostitute. Which isn't the only secret that they have. It does come out later that Fawn and Ernest have never married. She was very happy just living life with Ernest and having children. They do get married at the end of the book. So that's the plot. Fawn and Ernest and Maisie do connect at the second World's Fair in Seattle. And it's very nice for them, it's like time hasn't passed, they're very happy to see one another. But the book is beautifully written. It's about relationships between one person and two people and three people. So the trio of Ernest, Fawn, and Maisie is explored. The idea of family is explored in the construct of the brothel, the family that Ernest has never had. It's lovely. It really is a lovely book. So if you come across Love and Other Consolation Prizes, I suggest that you pick it up. I got this at Dollar General for $3. I'm going to put a link to it in the description box below for Amazon if you want to check it out there or as an audiobook. But I really enjoyed this. I thought it was, again, quite lovely written, and the dynamics between the characters are beautifully explored. And I really like anything with a kind of set in a historical time to take me to a different place, but I really love this. I thought this was great. So check out Love and Other Consolation Prizes by Jamie Ford. He did a great job, and I will let you know when I'm reading next.